Welcome, friends, to Secrets of the Ancients. If you'd like to keep exploring these fascinating stories with us, please consider subscribing, liking, and leaving a comment below. Your support truly helps us bring more mysteries to light. So, what if the pyramids were actually power plants? Just imagine that for a moment. Egyptologists have been digging around every inch of the Great Pyramid for years, but somehow they missed a stunning pink granite bathtub buried just a few miles away. Here's the twist. This mysterious oval-shaped tomb near Khufu's pyramid might actually suggest that the Egyptians didn't just build the pyramids for show. They may have been experimenting with electricity thousands of years before Alessandro Volta or Thomas Edison. We all know the Giza plateau is famous for its three big pyramids, Khufu, Khafra and Menkaure. But there are also two smaller, lesser-known structures nearby: the unfinished northern pyramid of Zayat Elan and the Step Pyramid. Some experts believe these structures were never completed, while others think they were destroyed for mysterious reasons, possibly tied to the pyramid's original purpose. One theory: the pyramids were part of an ancient power system. Let's rewind to the early 1900s. Italian architect and Egyptologist Alessandro Barante went to examine the Zayat Elan pyramid site and noticed something odd: scattered granite fragments. To most people, that wouldn't mean much, but to Barante, it meant the ancient Egyptians might have used the area to prepare stones before transporting them elsewhere. Granite, being more expensive and rare than the limestone usually used in pyramids, caught his attention. Digging 68 feet deep, he uncovered a massive pink granite block. And then, something stranger: ancient inscriptions no one could decipher. Were they instructions? Ritual codes? Then came his biggest find: an oval-shaped pink granite basin, polished so smooth it looked like a mirror. It had been carefully sealed, and when opened it contained a thin black oily residue. That raised major questions. Why would the Egyptians go to such lengths to hide and protect it? By 1911, Barante had to abandon his research, but his discovery... Some modern theories now claim that Khufu's pyramid wasn't just a tomb. It may have functioned as a water pump for irrigating the desert. The internal chambers could have worked as a hydraulic system. In the 1990s, an engineer seriously studied the underground chamber and found signs of water damage, suggesting that the pyramid might have generated pressure waves or pulses strong enough to produce electricity. So the question is, did the ancient Egyptians actually use the pyramids to generate power? It's not impossible, but with so many competing theories, no one... Meanwhile, Egypt continues to surprise us. For example, archaeologists recently discovered something that looks like a cosmic command center. Think Doctor Strange. They found an L-shaped astronomical observatory measuring 9,000 square feet, dating back to the 6th century BCE. It's likely the oldest and largest of its kind from that time, used to calculate dates for rituals, royal coronations, and farming schedules. At the entrance, aligned perfectly to the east, sunlight would flood the room at sunrise. Inside stood a massive 16-foot shadow clock used to tell time based on shadows. Another mind-blowing discovery: the first ever pregnant Egyptian mummy. Though experts know a lot about mummification, this find opened up new questions about prenatal practices in ancient Egypt. The woman, between 20 and 30 years old, was buried in a man's coffin, likely due to 19th century traders mixing up mummies to boost sales. Despite that, her remains were in amazing condition, and she was buried with protective amulets showing her high social status. In Saqqara, archaeologists uncovered two embalming workshops, one for humans, the other for sacred animals. They were equipped with stone beds, jars, and ritual tools dating back 2,400 years. And then there's this. Archaeologists also found 3,000-year-old cheese in sealed jars. Yes, cheese. This proves that the Egyptians mastered food preservation just as much as mummification. Even more shocking, they found one of the oldest fully preserved mummies, completely covered in gold. This man, named Heka, was likely very wealthy and important. Symbols on his body, such as a gold headband and chest amulets, confirmed his high status. To reach the mummy, scientists had to open a sealed tomb. It was like stepping into a time machine built 4,300 years ago. Now imagine Nikola Tesla. Yes, that Tesla, getting involved in all this. Tesla was absolutely obsessed with the pyramids. He believed they weren't just tombs, but actually power plants that could store and transmit electricity. He even speculated they used powerful crystals to generate electromagnetic fields, and believed the materials used could capture solar and lunar energy. Tesla thought the pyramids might have been giant energy amplifiers and may have played a role in spiritual healing or enlightenment. He wasn't just guessing. He based his theories on ancient texts, symbols, and scientific experimentation. Modern research actually backs up some of his ideas. Scientists ran simulations to see how radio waves interact with the Great Pyramid and found that under certain conditions, energy could concentrate inside specific chambers and below the base. This inspired new technology. Scientists are now designing nanoparticles that mimic this energy-focusing ability, which could lead to super-efficient solar panels or advanced sensors. Tesla's most ambitious project was the Warden Cliff Tower, built from 1901 to 1905. He wanted it to transmit energy wirelessly across the globe, using Earth itself as a conductor, sort of like an early version of the Internet, but without cables. Sadly, due to financial problems, the tower was demolished in 1917. But his dream lives on. In 2017, researchers used ground-penetrating radar near the site and found tunnels running hundreds of feet underground. No one knows what they were for, but people suspect they were part of Tesla's wireless energy network. Back to the pyramids. There's a viral theory claiming the pyramid's location matches the speed of light in meters per second. It's just a coincidence. The ancient Egyptians didn't use meters, they used cubits based on the length from the elbow to the tip of the finger. The idea is fun but not historically accurate. The Great Pyramid may look like a perfect square, but it actually has 8 sides. Each face has a subtle inward dip only visible from above during equinoxes. This unusual design led to speculation that it was meant to be seen from the sky, maybe even to communicate with something above. Also fascinating, the Great Pyramid once had a hidden revolving door weighing 20 tons that could be pushed open from the inside but was nearly invisible from the outside. There's also a 100-foot hidden chamber discovered in 2017, and we still don't know what's inside or why it was built. Scientists used muon detectors, particles that penetrate solid rock, to map the pyramid's inner structure. These tools revealed empty spaces no one had seen before. And finally, the mortar used in pyramid construction remains a mystery. We know it's mostly processed gypsum, but we still can't replicate its properties with modern tech. It wasn't used like cement today, but had unique qualities that are still being studied. The ancient Egyptians used gypsum mortar to support the joints between massive stone blocks while placing them in position. It's estimated that they used around 500,000 tons of mortar to build the Great Pyramid. Interestingly, this gypsum mortar is actually stronger than the stones themselves, and it's lasted thousands of years. All 4 sides of the Great Pyramid are aligned almost perfectly with the cardinal directions north, south, east and west. According to geologist and engineer Glenn Dash, the alignment is accurate to within 4 arc minutes, or about 1/15 of a degree. And they achieved this without modern tools like drones, blueprints or computers. Many researchers have tried to explain how the ancient builders managed such precision. Some believe they used the North Star or the sun's shadow. But Dash recently proposed a simpler idea. Maybe they used the equinox. The equinox happens twice a year, when the sun is directly above the equator, and day and night are nearly equal in length. To test his theory, Dash ran an experiment on September 22, 2016, the day of the autumn equinox, using a basic tool. The Egyptians could have tracked a shadow's tip at regular intervals, forming a smooth curve. By connecting 2 points on that curve with a tight string, they could have created a nearly perfect east-west line. Dash noticed that on the spring equinox, the shadow forms a nearly straight line from east to west, just slightly off in a counterclockwise direction. That same minor deviation shows up in the pyramid's alignment. Even though Dash did his test in Connecticut, he believes the method would work just as well in Egypt. All the ancient Egyptians needed was a sunny, clear day. They could have figured out the equinox by counting 91 days after the summer solstice. But the truth is, they didn't leave us much evidence. No architectural drawings or engineering notes have been found, so we can't be sure how they did it. Maybe they mapped shadows. Maybe not. Another big mystery has been how they transported the heavy stone blocks to the pyramid sites. Now, researchers might have an answer. A team from the University of North Carolina, Wilmington discovered that 31 pyramids were likely built along a now-lost branch of the Nile River. Today, that branch is buried under desert sand and farmland. For years, archaeologists believed the Egyptians might have used a nearby waterway to move materials, tools and people, but they couldn't pinpoint its exact location, size or distance from the pyramids. The research team used satellite images, radar, old maps, geophysical surveys and sediment samples to trace the river's path. They think it disappeared due to severe drought and sandstorms thousands of years ago. Using radar, they were able to look beneath the surface and spot hidden features, including lost rivers and ancient structures. These run along the base of hills where many of the old pyramids were built. The discovery of this extinct Nile branch helps explain why there are so many pyramids between Giza and Lisht, an area that's now harsh desert. Interestingly, Egypt doesn't hold the world record for the most pyramids. That title goes to its southern neighbour, Sudan. Sudan has between 200 and 255 pyramids, compared to Egypt's 138. These were built by the Kingdom of Kush, an ancient civilization that ruled lands along the Nile. They started building their pyramids around 500 years after the Egyptians stopped building theirs. While smaller in size, Kushite pyramids served the same purpose as those in Egypt. Archaeologists are still trying to figure out how they were built, how long it took, and what happened to the civilization that built them. Now here's something really strange. Mysterious plasma bubbles floating above the Giza pyramids. Sounds weird, right? But let's be clear, there's nothing alien or supernatural going on. These plasma bubbles are atmospheric anomalies that form in a layer of Earth's atmosphere called the ionosphere. This invisible layer stretches from about 50 to 400 kilometers above Earth, right on the edge of space. In that layer, the sun is the main driving force behind the formation of these bubbles. They're completely natural but still mysterious, and they can actually interfere with satellite signals and modern communication systems. Finally, before we wrap things up, I just want to thank you all for listening and joining us on this journey through ancient mysteries. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow Secrets of the Ancients and keep an eye out for future videos. Don't forget